Good morning and welcome everyone to this amazing opportunity we have this morning to talk about Snapchat, Instagram, and TikTok. We are so proud to be partnering with Discovery to bring you all the information that you need to know. We are talking about Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok today in partnership with Discovery and speaking with one of South Africa's social media experts, Emma Sadlier Berkowitz. We've got a jam-packed bit of time together today, so I'm going to start my clock. We've got 30 minutes to cover Snapchat, Instagram, and TikTok, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I want to invite all of you to join us on Slido. That's going to be our interactive audience platform where you can post questions to me. We're going to be running polls so that we can figure out how we can make sure that we are answering the questions that are relevant to your experience of social media and how your children are using it. So please take out your phone, scan the QR code, or go to slido.com on your phone and put in the meeting code so that you can join in with this conversation and making sure that you're getting the answers that you need for the questions that are most important in your life. I want to start the first poll so that we can start to figure out a little bit about what the digital landscape is like for everyone out there today. So as you will see on the poll, you can actually choose one or more of the statements that are true for your family. We're going to be asking, do you have children under 13? Do you have children over 13? Do your children have social media or do your children not have social media? So let's give it a little bit of a moment and see what comes through on our chat to make sure that we are addressing questions that make sense for everyone out there. So we're starting to see some answers coming through. They should be updating live. It's wonderful that they are. And let's see. We've got 67% of people saying they have children under 13, 83% of parents saying that their children have social media. So we're in the right place. We are definitely asking the right questions and talking about a really relevant topic today. So lots of kids having social media. Of course, in this poll, we won't actually know, what ages are these children that have social media. So hopefully they're above 13, and we'll get into that in just a moment. So thank you. Please make sure that you're checking in with Slido. You'll see there's a tab on your phone that you can post questions in there. The co-founder of Be in Touch and my co-founder, Kate Farina, will be in the chat posting links and answering questions to questions that pop up in the moment, and then I'll be checking in every so often to make sure that we can answer those questions. So thank you everyone for that. I'm going to pause that poll so that we can keep going with our conversation. And as it comes out, a lot of our children have social media, so we're definitely talking about the right stuff over here in this webinar. We will come back to that time and again, and there's another poll at the end of the conversation, and then of course in the Q&A we've already getting some questions. The cyber crimes bill, what age do children become legally liable? So we'll have to check in on that, and Kate will post a link to an official legal perspective on that, because as I'm not a lawyer, I can't give you the legal perspective, but what I can say is that they definitely need to be staying off social media until they are above 13. That's my perspective, and one that Emma has as well. But let's keep moving, and we're going to make sure that we get through all the content that we have today. The Discovery Health Mental Health Information Hub, which you can see over my shoulder here. And this is the space that you're going to get all those resources that are so important to us these days. Of course, I spoke a little bit about the statistics, which you couldn't see, but seeing them up on the screen here will give you a much better idea of the issue and how real it is that we are in fact dealing with these issues. So please make sure that it is not just, you don't walk around with this illusion that it's not my kid, because every child that is online is facing the same challenges. I spoke a little bit about why teens love the terrible trio that we call them, and we mean that in the way that they are inappropriately used, and it's because it meets superficially all of these developmental needs that teens have to be connected, to have control, and to build status in groups. What I was talking about on the last bit of the conversation was just how we're concerned about safety and sanity on these platforms for a lot of real good reasons. And we want you to be aware of these reasons so that you can do something about it. The inappropriate content that we see on these platforms, these are all screen grabs from the platforms themselves. We know that, for example, in Snapchat, you can get into one of the biggest pornography sites on the world without even leaving the app, which again means that parental controls are super important. There's integrations with Instagram and dating apps like Tinder, which of course these platforms are built for adults. And speaking of adults, your child, the majority of children don't know who their followers are, and they have these public accounts that children can then be accessed and direct messaged by adults out there, which is a major issue. So we want to make sure that these accounts are locked down, and that's an important step to do, to make sure that your children's accounts are private. The illusion of taking risks online is just exactly that. Kids don't know that even though they put the setting over here to make that Snapchat image disappear in 6 seconds, it gets recorded anyway. We know that children are posting inflammatory content. Why? Because it gets likes, it gets chats, it gets interactions, and that's why they are doing it. But they don't understand, and that is because their brains are not fully developed to actually make good decisions when they are online. Of course, there's all the pressure to keep these perfect lives going, and we know as adults that Instagram and reality are not the same, but kids are starting to expect that life will be like what they see on Instagram, and it causes a lot of harm. Speaking of harm, selfie dysmorphia. When I was a male model and, had experience of all that kind of world of stuff, we used to have to pay people to make edits onto our photos. Nowadays it happens live. So this is an example of the real image of someone and how it is distorted using the various filters, not only the fun ones, but the actual bone structure changes, the skin tone changes, and then kids start to expect like they want to look like that image all the way on the left, and it's just not possible, creating mental health issues in our children, especially in girls. We have to understand that our social media platforms are set up so that children will use them. There is a massive dopamine hit that comes with every like, every comment, every share. And our kids are not set up with the brain integrity to deal with that. And they get addicted to their phones, and that sets them up for addiction behaviors later on in life. So we have to understand that they need more protection. We can't just open up these platforms and give them access to them, because they are not going to know how to use them. Challenges on our platform as well are definitely sending our children into behaviors that are not useful, and it's all about the next viral challenge and children making videos of themselves meeting those challenges. So definitely something that we are not happy about, and something that you need to be aware of, so that you can intercept these challenges that are coming into your children's life and make sure that you are able to talk to them about what is actually going to be impacting their life. So give them that ability to critically analyze the challenges that are going viral. Why are they going viral? What do they want to do about it? Do they want to take part? Of course, cyberbullying is a massive issue, and we actually have a term for it. The term for it is instabullying, because it happens so much on Instagram in particular. And then if we think about those stats of how children have those devices in their bedrooms and are on social media late at night, that is when these issues are showing up. So we definitely want to make sure that we are talking to our children and giving them the power to block people online, to ignore people online, to make their account inaccessible to people that are abusing them online. Guys, it is harsh, and we say it because it is real. It is a pedophile haven. You have to understand that if your child has a public account on social media, they can be contacted by absolutely everyone. So number one that you have to be doing is changing settings in apps to making sure that the apps are not set up to make them public. The image that's on the screen at the moment, that individual is one of 100 pedophiles that a UK study did on Instagram, and found that there were over 100 convicted pedophiles on Instagram actively grooming. The image on the side here of that map, that's what we call the snap map on Instagram. You've got to make sure that geotagging is not turned on, because your children's locations are literally visible to the whole world, which can be a major issue. So we want to make sure that we take some of these steps to protect our children from what is happening online. We are very excited to be talking, or we spoke with Emma Sadlier-Berkowitz, and she runs the digital law company. She is one of South Africa's top social media law experts. And we asked her a number of questions that we're going to be covering. And don't worry, I know there's a lot in them. I am going to be summarizing each little clip that she speaks about once she's finished talking, so that we can make sure that we get all the value from the conversation I had with her last week. So the first question we posed to her was, what do you think about the access that children have to social media? So let's go now and listen to what she has to say about that.
For as long as anybody's been listening, although it seems they haven't really been listening, that I think social media should be banned for children under the age of 13. And I really feel that very strongly. If I was the boss of the world, I would ban smartphones in primary schools. The harm that I see being done by and to these very young children, and they are young children, who suddenly get given these devices. And as I keep saying in my talks, is that the internet has no shallow end, that once they're online, they're online. And of course, we worry about social media, but we worry about the internet generally. And that's not to say, we've got to keep our children off these platforms forever. The longer you can protect your children from what they are going to see, well, it's a question of when. So I think the longer you can protect them from these platforms and keep them children, the better for everybody.
Such interesting perspectives that Emma brings there. Of course, prevention is better than cure. We have to be getting ahead of the game. We can't wait until the problems come to us. We got to go into that child's digital landscape and start preparing it. Age restrictions are absolutely key. We have to make sure that children are able to use this platform appropriately because of the age restrictions that are in place. They're there for a reason, and we have to be involved. So, such important perspectives that she brings. We have to understand that app stores are not regulated. They set their own age limits, and we can't rely on them. There are wonderful sources out there, like Common Sense Media, like the resources on our website, that can tell you the real age of these platforms, so that you can make sure that you're not giving your children access to these platforms at an inappropriate age. Teens just don't have the wisdom and the maturity to make sure they know what they are doing. So we posed another question to Emma. So what do we do? What do we do as parents? How do we approach this? This is what she had to say in answer to that.
Okay, let me think about this. Okay, so for parents, the first thing is wake up. Know what your children are up to. Educate yourselves. There are incredible resources out there. If your child is on TikTok or Snapchat, it's simply no good for you to say, I don't know how this platform works, or I don't know what they're doing all day, every day on Fortnite or Minecraft, or, they're in their own world. That, I'm afraid, that's old news. You can't do that. If you have a child who's one of these platforms and you don't know how the platform works, what the risks are of the platform, then you are being negligent, and you should smack yourself quite hard on the hand. And then you need to go to one of these incredible resources. Bark is amazing. They have all these incredible parental guides. Common Sense Media. If your child comes home and says, can I be on paparazzi, and you have no idea what this thing is, then before you say yes or no, you go home and you Google it. And I'm not saying you have to play Fortnite for a month before you let your kid loose on it. I'm saying Google it. And there is some board housewife in South Carolina who's prepared an A4 document for you about these are the settings you need to have, and these are the risks, and this is what we think the age restriction should be. And it's that kind of thing. So have a look at these sort of ultimate guides. Best line of defense is active, engaged, aware parents. Second thing, no smartphones in primary school. No social media under the age of 13. And I know people will tell me I'm living in La La Land, but I really do think that it is possible. And I think if your child needs a phone because they need a phone to tell you that swimming's been cancelled because there's lightning, get them a dumb phone. And they don't need to have these devices. You can't let them loose on their own devices when they're little. I'm seeing, and I saw it with Squid Games, Josh, like, parents were phoning me to say, my 8-year-old kid has watched the whole of Squid Games. And I'm like, but how? How did you not know what they were doing for all of those hours? So having parental control technology, parental control software to help you hold your hand in this process of making sure you are happy with what your child is up to online. Coupled with that, I would say a time budget with your children, and I would say let them make the opening offer because they're almost certain to underestimate, and agree on it. Say this is how many hours of screen time they're going to have. Can be different on the weekends, of course, and then you stick to it. And then at the last, all devices out of the bedroom at a certain time, and I would make that a family-wide rule. It's just if these kids, and I see 10-year-olds who have their smartphones with them 24 hours a day. And look, if your kids have got their phones, they're on them. They're listening to music, they're playing games, they're talking to their mates. A lot of the stuff I'm doing with online harms, criminuria, bullying, sexting, I look at the timestamps on some of these.
Such interesting perspectives there. And of course, again, starting with that first point of delay smartphones and social media, Emma Sadler talking about how, if she could change anything, just getting that delayed in place. We talk to so many parents and none of them ever say to us, geez, I wish I had given my child access to a smartphone and social media earlier. So definitely delay that as long as possible. In my perspective, I would say 13, 14, 15 if you can, but understand that sometimes that's just not possible. And if we are going to give them those devices, we need to talk to our kids even earlier. Start showing them things that you're seeing online on your phone and start discussing with them why it's not a good idea. Start helping them understand what they can do about it. Of course, parental controls and Bark being our favorite in that space, particularly for social media, because it integrates into the social media accounts and then can send you notifications on the issues that you're having. Obviously, there are other options out there. Screen time for iPhone and digital well-being for Android are two great free options, but we have to understand that we need to be paying money for these protections for our children so that we've got a premium service. Remember, if you are signed up to our newsletter, we will send you information about Bark in particular, and we've got a discount for our community members there. So if you haven't yet signed up to the newsletter or followed us on social media, make sure you do that to get access to the Bark discount that we have. We've got one last question for Emma that we want her to cover, and this question was dealing with, okay, so now we've heard what she thinks about social media, we've heard what she thinks the parents should do. Now let's hear what she thinks the kids should do. And again, this is available as a recording, will be after this webinar, and you can show your kids, show them this clip, talk to them about why you're concerned. So this is the question we posed to Emma: what should kids be doing about social media? How do they deal with it?
And I always revert to what I call the billboard test, which is something I've been talking about for years now. And it sounds so stupid, but it's such a very, very good test. It's even a good test when we talk about social media and the corporate context and employees and bringing companies into disrepute and all those kind of things. But simply put, the billboard test is this: whatever it is that you're going to let exist in digital content, whether it's something you've created in digital content, a photograph, a message, a voice note, a DM, or something that exists in digital content about you, a photograph, a video. Before you let it exist in your phone or on somebody else's phone, you ask yourself, would you put it on that billboard next to a huge photo of your face? And for those kids who have school uniform, imagine yourself in school uniform. Next to your name in huge writing, the name of your school in huge writing, and whatever it is that's about to exist in digital format. Because if you wouldn't let it exist on that billboard, then you don't let it exist in digital format. The laws are the same, the disciplinary consequences are the same. The impact to your reputation, I would say, is worse, because it doesn't matter how many years that billboard is up there. At some stage, it's going to be taken down. So the billboard test is a good one. I also talk about the test of the 6 Ps, which is, if you wouldn't want one of the 6 Ps to see it, you don't let it exist, right? Your principal. So anything against the school's rules, underage drinking, cheating, bullying, whatever it might be. The police, so anything illegal, extreme cyberbullying would be criminuria, doxing would be criminuria. Any underage sexting dealt with as child pornography offenses. So we've got the principal so far, we've got the police, we've got your parents. Because often when I'm in the school environment, the first thing I do is I make the kids read out what they've said with their parents. I've seen parents faint when they've seen what their children are capable of saying. So we're going to recap: principal, police, parents. Then a Fisher, PH, Fisher, somebody interested in your personal information, right? Identity theft is a very real issue in South Africa. A potential employer, so somebody, or a potential scholarship provider, a potential university admissions officer. So we're talking about reputation. And the last would be a predator, somebody who is interested in gaining your trust, somebody who is befriending you for the wrong reason. right? And what I say to the kids is presume every single person you meet online is dodgy until proven otherwise. Like I'd love to say to the kids, don't meet anyone online ever. Dodgy until proven otherwise, right? And if they are meeting people online, FaceTime them. If they put you on the ceiling, chances are they're not who they say they are. Or do a reverse Google image search of their profile picture. See if it is an image that they're using, which they shouldn't be. So those are the 6 Ps. So the first thing to say to the kids is billboard test. The second thing is the 6 Ps. And the third is the mantra, digital content is dangerous content. That just know that when something is digital, it's out of your control. You send that message to one other person, they're going to take a screenshot. They're going to put it online. You take a picture of yourself naked and you send it to your boyfriend who you love with your whole heart. You break up, they're going to send it on. You know, it's even content that you have on your phone which you haven't sent to anybody, because your phone can get lost, your phone can get stolen, your iCloud can get hacked. It's really treating every single thing that you put in digital format as vulnerable content. So the mantra, digital content is dangerous content.
Well, there you have it, guys. The billboard test, which is a classic. I mean, we've been hearing that since we started our journey with digital well-being about 4 years ago, and Emma's been saying it for even longer than that. The billboard test, making sure that your child understands that anything they post is, would they post it on a billboard? And of course, then those 6 Ps, really great way to understand, you know, all the audience members, all the categories of audience your child needs to be aware of. Their principal, the police, the parents, their fishers out there that are looking for them, the employer, and of course, predators. And understanding that digital content is dangerous content. So important. And thank you so much to Emma for bringing those perspectives, helping us understand how we need to be helping our children to keep them safer and saner online. So where we go to now is just talking about these top tips. So what do we do next, right? What do you as a parent do next? We've got a lot of great ideas, and even more if you sign up for the newsletter and on the Discovery Health Mental Health Hub. Of course, we want to be agreeing family tech rules in our home. We need to help our children understand that with a device comes a contract, comes an understanding that behaviors lead to consequences, and this is great for them because it gives them autonomy, helps them understand that they can make their own decisions and impact how they use their devices and the rules under which they have to use them. Talking to your teen about their digital life, getting that parental control in place, getting devices out of rooms, super important. You know, the irony of these things is that they're called phones, but kids are hardly ever phoning on them. They use them as alarm clocks. They use them as torches, social media platforms. So if your child says they need a torch or an alarm clock in their bedroom, just get them one and get that device out of their bedroom. Keep checking in and checking up, and you got to talk to your teen. This has been a 30-minute whirlwind. We got 5 minutes left to answer some more questions. So if you have any questions, please put them into the Slido chat or even into the chat on this webinar platform, and we'll make sure that we address those questions with the few minutes we have left. But this is only the start, and if it's not your first step, wonderful. If it is, don't worry, it's never too late, and we are here to partner with you. Discovery is going to make sure that you have everything that you need to be the best digital parent that you can be. Remember to make use of the Discovery Health Mental Health Information Hub. And when we close out this webinar, don't run away, because when we close this webinar, you're going to get pushed through to the Discovery Health Mental Health Hub, and you can have a look there. We've got the 8 steps to digital parenting on that platform. We've got recordings from the last episode and a lot of resources that are going to help you to be all that you can be when it comes to your digital parenting role. Of course, we want you to join our next webinar, which is happening on the 12th of January at 8 a.m. And this one's going to be all about getting our partner on board, getting our co-caregiver on board, so that we are towing the same line in our home. For co-parents that live in different homes, we need to make sure that children have the same rules in both homes so that they understand very clearly about how we get onto the safety and sanity page that we need to be on with our children's device use. So I want to thank you all for coming to this webinar. We've got one more poll that I'd like to launch. That's going to be about what your next step is going to be on your digital parenting journey. So if you've got that link to the Slido, let's go there now and start seeing how we can make sure that we are taking that next step in protecting our children online. So it's a very quick question. What's the first step that's right for your family? Is it getting devices out of bedrooms? Is it setting up parental controls? Is it making sure that you're talking to your kids? So I've unlocked that poll right now, and if you just put your thoughts in there, what do you think about what's right for you? Remember, you can use the QR code on the screen, or you can go to slido.com and enter that code 140373 to check in on how we're doing and what the next steps are going to be. It's wonderful to start seeing the results of people getting active and not getting anxious. We've got talking to our kids at the top of the polls, which of course is the cornerstone. We can't do anything unless we're talking to our kids. Open-ended questions. What's going on in your digital world? One that kids really love? Can you ask them to teach you how Snapchat works, teach you how TikTok works, teach you how Instagram works. If you don't have that app on your phone, get it on your phone so that you can go through the settings with your child. That's the best way to do it. Talking to them. Wonderful to see that getting devices out of bedrooms is heading up there. Definitely an important step to take. And maybe it's a step that you should take as well. Setting up parental controls, definitely a good one. I see Kate has posted the link to Bark, our preferred parental control, into the chat so that you can go check that out. And of course, you got that 10% discount being a part of the community. Talking to your kids, still very high. Changing the app settings on your child's phone. It is a free option that you can do straight away, and as a tangible symbol that you can talk to your child and say, this is some of the things that we need to be doing. And remember what Chris said last week, the Chris McKenna, that expert that we spoke to last week, when he was talking about, tell your children you're not going to freak out. You're not going to freak out. You're not going to freak out. And that you're going to walk with them. Be honest with them and just say, guys, I attended a webinar and now I'm a little bit concerned about some of the ways in which we're using technology, and I want to solve this together with you. So wonderful to see that we've got some active parents out there. And so we're going to close out this webinar in just a moment. And remember, hang around at the end of the webinar because you're going to get directed straight through to the Discovery Health Mental Health Hub, where you can get all of this access to all of these amazing resources. And in terms of the settings, I did see that Kate will be posting into that space a PDF guide on how you can help deal with that. And of course, there is the option of just Googling, how do I make TikTok safer? How do I make Instagram safer? And Google will definitely help you. And there's some video that's been made by someone with all the steps that can take you through what you need to do. I want to thank you so much for being with us today. It has been an absolute pleasure to share with you about how we can make sure that Snapchat, Instagram, and TikTok are used in a way that they're not terrible, and they can improve our children's lives when they are age appropriately used. Thank you so much for joining us on this webinar, and we look forward to seeing you on the 12th of January at 8 a.m. All the best.